Hello everyone. I, Dr. Rubal Barar, Associate Professor, Department of English, Cultural Studies and Foreign Languages at GSS DGS Khalsa College Patiala, will be today engaging you all in the understanding of the Renaissance. The Renaissance was a period of rebirth or renewal of European culture, philosophy, arts, science, mathematics, politics, and religious thought after the medieval age. It heralded the advent of the early modern period, which introduced the Europeans to ideas like individualism, secularism, and rationalism. The medieval age, or the Middle Ages, refer to the period following the collapse of Roman Empire in 476 AD till the 15th century. It is also known as the Dark Ages, as this period is regarded as a time of intellectual darkness, barbarity, war, pandemics like the Black Death, etc. The spread of Renaissance is believed to have taken place from late 13th century to the 17th century. The Renaissance was advanced by the idea of rediscovering the classical culture, literature, and art. The Middle Ages separated the ancient Greek and Roman, that is the classical period, from the Renaissance. Looking at the history of the concept, the idea of rebirth was common in both classical and Christian sources. Greek and Roman mythology and Christian religion contained instances of sudden and miraculous renewals of power in the lives of individual heroes. With Christianity, these ideas took on a spiritual emphasis. It became a commonplace from the time of Gospels to speak of the rebirth of a soul in Christ. The Gospels are the first 4 books of New Testament telling about the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. In this manner, elements of both the traditions were combined in early thinking about the Renaissance. On wider scale, the idea of rebirth could be applied to the renewal of the whole society. But the question arises that why was there a need for renewal in Middle Ages? The answer is implicit in the reasons of prevalence of corruption and degeneration in the medieval society, which were decadence in church, narrow scholasticism, stifling of spirit of individualism, religious asceticism, humble piety, absolute authority of church. Now let's understand these factors. Decadence in church refers to the fall in moral values and practices within the institution of the church. Narrow scholasticism was the dominant theological and philosophical school of Middle Ages based on authority of early church fathers, Aristotle and his commentators. Stifling of spirit of individualism refers to complete suppression and crushing of individuality. Religious asceticism was the adoption of a life of severe self-discipline as an act of religious devotion. Humble piety refers to humble devotion and utmost reverence to God. Absolute authority of church, that is, the church exerted complete authority upon the mind and soul of the people. It promoted superstitions and corruption in the society through the sale of indulgences. In the Middle Ages, the church undertook the practice of selling indulgences, which was supposed to absolve one of the past sins and or release from purgatory after death if one bought it through payment of penalty. Some of the greatest of thinkers, philosophers, artists, explorers, and scientists in human history belonged to the Renaissance period. Innovations and explorations enriched European culture, trade, and commerce. The Renaissance became the connecting link between the Middle Ages and the modern period. Some of the major figures of Renaissance were Leonardo da Vinci. He was an Italian painter, architect, and inventor. He is called the Renaissance man. His most famous contribution is the painting of the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. Dariusus Erasmus was a great Dutch scholar who was instrumental in spreading the humanist movement in Northern Europe. He is renowned for translating the New Testament into Latin from Greek. Nicolaus Copernicus was a Polish mathematician and astronomer. He is famous for proposing the concept of a heliocentric solar system, that is, a solar system with the sun as the center. Michelangelo was an Italian sculptor, painter, and architect. He is renowned for carving the statue of David and painting the Sistine Chapel in Rome. These are the ageless masterpieces of art. The painting of the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci and the statue of David by Michelangelo. These outstanding works of Renaissance art were similar not only in their excellent quality but also in their theme. Both were realistic portrayal of the human individualism. Now, looking at the major figures of Renaissance in the field of literature. The foremost was Dante Alighieri. He was an Italian philosopher, poet, and political thinker. He authored the famous The Divine Comedy, which marks the beginning of Renaissance and the end of the late medieval period. Dante wrote it in Italian rather than in Latin and gave importance to vernacular literature. Petrarca was an Italian scholar, poet, and humanist. His poetry helped to establish the lyric poetry, the sonnet, and the modern Italian language. He is regarded as the father of humanism. Giovanni Buccaccio was an Italian poet and humanist. He authored the famous Decameron and vivified Hellenistic learning in Italy. Geoffrey Chaucer was an English poet, courtier, and diplomat. He was the author of the Canterbury Tales, invented the rhyme royal, which was a metrical innovation, and is called the father of English poetry. These are the references of this presentation, and I'm sure you will take them up when you further explore this topic. I hope this presentation will be helpful to you. Thank you.